And all of a sudden we heard 2 shots. And then next thing you know, you hear pow, 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 pow.
Leave as a mother who loses a child, you gotta have something to hold on to.
They say there is a thin line between love and hate, that the things we treasure most can be the very things that destroy us. Well, whoever coined that phrase might have known something about the twisted tale of love, faith, and betrayal that unraveled on Easter Sunday right outside a Dallas church. Our story starts here, a place where sins are confessed, where peace is prayed for. On this fateful day, neither God nor good intentions can save what's coming. For more crime stories that make you think twice about the company you keep, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. This is the story of Denzel Branch, a youth minister, father of 3, and if you ask, an all-around decent guy.
Today shall not be with me.
He sang with the choir. He's also part of the ministry at the pulpit team and the prayer warriors. I mean, he was just involved in everything.
On that fateful Easter Sunday, Denzel came to the service carrying a heavy heart, a heart twisted in the betrayal of love. But had you seen him that day, you would never have guessed what was to unfold. For Denzel, this would not be just another Easter service, and most definitely, it would not end with a simple go in peace. And at the center of this tragedy, a love triangle that was anything but divine. You see, Denzel's story isn't just that of a scorned man. It's about loyalty, it's about betrayal, and that moment in time when what starts as a simple argument crosses the line beyond which there is no going back. So let's rewind. It starts with a man who wanted to serve, to help his congregation's youth and put them on the path towards redemption. Ironically, this very sanctuary that he once called heaven became the backdrop of his very destruction. You see, every tragedy has its roots, and for Denzel Branch, it all began with a love triangle sharp enough to cut through anything in its path. Now, let's meet our players. There is Denzel Branch, the youth minister man bound by faith and perhaps a little bit by pride.
This is youth pastor Denzel Branch being introduced at church this past Good Friday. The 31-year-old served as a minister at New Generation Church in South Dallas.
Then there is Joshua Bell Andrews, the son of the lead pastor of the church. To those who knew him, Joshua was a charismatic enough fellow, but dig a little deeper, and the picture is of a man with an apparent taste for power and, well, his friend's ex-wife. And the woman at the center of it all? Denzel's ex-wife, Brianna Branch. They say nothing rocks a church community's boat like exes and current flames. And in this story, they just so happen to be the same. The thing about love triangles is they are not as stable as the geometry suggests. And in this triangle, jealousy ran thicker than the very blood that would eventually stain the street. You see, just a year prior, Denzel and his wife had separated. The separation between Denzel Branch and his ex-wife reportedly stemmed from ongoing conflicts that escalated, especially after she began a relationship with another man around May 2023. Branch and his ex-wife finalized their divorce in November 2023. Who else but Joshua, the pastor's son, would swoop in to console her in this time of need? In secret, their budding relationship had bloomed in the shadows. But that is the thing about secrets. They have this awful tendency to work their way to the surface. And on this Easter Sunday, they did just that. Easter Sunday, March 31st, started like most mornings. The pews were full of people, in their Sunday best. The air was thick with a type of celebratory tension. As Denzel entered the church, he may have felt that tension, too. Pull that wouldn't let him shake off that feeling that something was about to go wrong. If anyone had asked him, he might have chalked it up to nerves. To the nerves that never quite go away when you've got unfinished business with a friend and a fellow church member. While everyone else was celebrating the resurrection, Denzel and Joshua were about to go straight into a confrontation that would make it crystal clear. Not everyone is forgiven. But Easter's about forgiveness, right? Maybe, just maybe, they could leave their grievances behind and move forward. But the instant Denzel locked eyes with Joshua across the crowded pews, he knew there would be no forgiveness today. As the service came to an end, Denzel waited. The church emptied of all except him, and Denzel walked up to Joshua with a tensed face and could almost hear the breathing of anticipation. The resulting argument, said eyewitnesses, was a hot, fired-up interchange that was loud enough to make heads turn. Worshippers who had shown up seeking peace became the unwitting spectators in a confrontation months in brewing.
Branch allegedly punched Andrews in the face, which led the suspect to pull out his gun. Andrews later telling police the argument stemmed from a love triangle after the victim's now ex-wife had an affair with Andrews.
As the voices rose, so did the tempers, and that unspoken line of decency, well, it broke with one punch. It's funny how some things never change, huh? Love, jealousy, rage, emotions that lead people into doing things they never imagined, even in a place built to bring peace. Now, if that sounds like your Sunday sermon, well, just think this one had a twist at the end.
The only thing I know is that it started at the church down the street down there, and we seen him running this way.
It is hard to outrun bullets, though, and as he fell, Joshua kept firing.
We heard 2 shots, and then next thing you know, you hear pow, 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 pow.
I seen that the guy was laying, on the ground, and, people were yelling.
Picture it. A youth minister running down the street with blood trailing behind him as the congregation watched in horror. There's irony of sorts, isn't there? Easter Sunday day, where life was to be celebrated. Here they were with a staring death, and all over a relationship that should have never started in the first place.
Easter Sunday, which meant that a lot of people were home, and most of them witnessing when that man was running down 56th Street moments before being gunned down.
He was running on foot.
They say love can drive people to madness, but in this case, it was the twisted combination of ego, jealousy, and betrayal. Some say Denzel had it coming, while others say Joshua was a crazy maniac. They say Joshua didn't stop until he saw Denzel lying motionless, chilling sight on what was supposed to be a holy day. When the echoes of the shots died down, it set in. The youth minister was gone. Denzel lay in the street, his lifeblood spilling onto the concrete. Easter is a day all about resurrection. Here was a man whose time had just run out. If they'd needed proof that Sunday service wouldn't save them, well, they had it. With that, one would have thought that Joshua would have been content. However, he did not attempt to escape. Still in shock from what transpired, he merely turned himself in. A man who had acted out of anger, a driven man with passion and a bruised ego, suddenly was eerily calm. As he spoke with police, the weight of his actions finally seemed to fall upon his shoulders. He confessed all, down to the tiniest detail, including the love affair that had started the whole thing. It was almost as if he wished for people to understand, to know he hadn't acted without a cause, that he'd been provoked. But then again, when does a love affair ever truly justify murder? And what of the community? How does a church pick up the pieces after it has watched one of its ones strike down another? New Generation Church would never be the same. After all, the sins we commit don't always stay within the confessional walls. Rumors spread like wildfire, gossip hanging in the air like incense, as the congregation tried to make sense of the unimaginable. People questioned Joshua's upbringing, his values, and his very sanity. As for Denzel, he became a kind of martyr, though no one could ignore the fact that his own choices had played their part. Joshua Andrews is now in custody, facing a murder charge with bail set at $500,000. Isn't it ironic how we always assume the church is a place for saints? A place where only the good get together. But here was proof. Saints and sinners aren't always so different. Sometimes they're the same person. In the end, this is less a story about a hero and a villain, but what happened when jealousy and resentment were allowed to steep for far too long. It's about the frailty of human nature and how love and betrayal walk hand in hand. And if there is anything that we might have picked up along the way, it is this. Sometimes the things we hold the most dear are the exact things that lead us to our ruin. It is a haunting reminder that, despite all its promises, love can be the deadliest game of all. So, the next time you go to church, just remember this. Faith may save your soul, but it won't exactly save your life.